How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it's officially been 10,000 miles and we're coming towards a year with my 2019 Mustang GT. In today's video, I'm going to tell you if I regret buying it or if I would go buy a different car if I was in the same situation, and how my experience in the past 10,000 miles has been. Any issues, any problems with the car, anything like that, I'm going to address it all in today's video. Any extra costs of maintenance, all of those things I am going to tell you guys. And hopefully if you guys are looking to go and buy one of these, maybe I can sway your opinion one way or the other. Before we get into this review, I do want to address a couple things. My car has some aftermarket modifications. I have an aftermarket exhaust on the car, which is the reason why it sounds a lot better than it does factory. I have a Roush catback exhaust, which means it has a resonator delete and it has an X pipe, and then has smaller mufflers in the back as well that just make the car sound a lot better. I have a GT500 rear wing that does not come standard in the Mustangs. It comes with a little blade wing. I also have vinyl on the car, aftermarket wheels as well. The straps are not factory, and then I have tints on the car too. Now that we got that out of the way, this is a 2019 Mustang GT Premium. Premium basically means that I have the upgraded infotainment system, heated cooled seats, leather seats. My car has suede inserts in it because I have the carbon fiber dash, which gives you the suede inserts on the seat, Alcantara on the door, Alcantara suede on the door, if you guys can see that right there. Also a carbon shift knob. This car has been my daily driver. I've driven it through sunshine, I've driven it through rain, and I've even driven it through snow. So this car has been run in pretty well. I have used it to pretty much its extent. First things first, let's get a cold start up. So now that we've got a little bit of heat into the engine, I'd like to talk a little bit about the last 10,000 miles that I've done. So in the last 10,000 miles, I've driven this car on a 6.5-hour road trip. I've driven it daily in the roads. I've done basically anything that you could think of in a car that you would do, any normal car. I've also on many other occasions driven it 2-3 hours at a time, and this car has been really comfortable pretty much the whole time. I'm 6 foot, I have no issues getting in and out of this car whatsoever. It has enough space for 2 people very easily, and if you're not looking to haul more than 2 people, this car is perfect for you. Now I will mention the seats in the back are not for passengers. The seats in the back are for storage, or if you're going to go a very short distance with someone in the back. They're not made to haul people. Their insurance is simply just cheaper, and I'm sure on Ford's part it also is cheaper for them to produce the cars, easier for them to make the cars. They're just made for storage. If you're going to be hauling more than 2 people, if you're going to have more than just yourself in this car, it's not really a car for you. Now, I don't have that problem. I don't usually have passengers in my car. When I do, I have one, and if I ever need to have more than one person in my car, it's usually not for a very long time, so I can stick them in the back for 5-10 minutes, whatever it may be. As far as gas mileage in a GT, you guys saw it getting about 18.5 on average for all the miles I've done. Not the best. If you're driving strictly highway, you're going to get 25, 26 on average. So not the best, but also not horrible. Talking about the infotainment, most of the time I have my phone plugged in with Apple CarPlay. The screen is right here. You have your map, you have your music, and you have your destination wherever it may be. And overall, I've just thought this is super convenient. If you unplug it, this is what you get. People say that it's not a good screen to have, or that it's outdated or anything like that. I don't really see it that way, especially because you have Apple CarPlay. I think this screen is fine. It does the basics it needs to do, and most of the time I just do have my phone plugged in, and I use Apple CarPlay pretty much every single time I'm in my car. You can option this car with a digital dash. I couldn't find a digital dash car at the time I was looking for one. I wanted one, but I saw this car had the carbon dash, and that's one of the main reasons I picked it. I loved the carbon dash, and also the fact that this car is Kona blue. You have heated, cooled seats, so in the winter time, if you do get a little bit colder by you, like it does here in Wisconsin, currently about 35 degrees, 30 degrees, heated seats are necessary. I'm wearing a coat, so I have it turned down a little bit. Cool seats in the summer. For the people who don't have them, you're probably like, you probably don't need them, but when you do have them, it's pretty nice having that air conditioning blow on your back. And it's just a cool feature that the Mustang has. A lot of the Ford products and a lot of other cars do have it, but seeing it in a sports car is pretty cool, especially in this price range for about $40,000. Now let's talk about the biggest thing in this car. It's a Mustang. It's a V8 that has 460 horsepower. Mine has a 6-speed manual transmission. This car is mainly about driving. As you guys can hear, it has a 5.0 V8. That sounds amazing. I have a 3rd generation Coyote motor. These motors are very tunable. These motors can produce easily 750 wheel horsepower on the stock internals if you boost them. Very capable motors, and the transmissions get a bad name for them. They do have their fair amount of issues, but if you do a little bit of modification to the transmission, you put a short throw in with the upgraded components, for the most part they will hold pretty nicely 800 wheel horsepower, if not a little bit more than that, if you do treat them right. The newer Mustang Mach 1 has a Tremec transmission. I believe the Shelby's also had a Tremec transmission. Those transmissions are really good, much better than the MT82 that you find in this car. If you are worried about transmission issues, you can always get the 10-speed automatic, but I feel once you drive manual, you kind of just drift towards it no matter what. First impressions of when I got into the car, I'd never driven a S550 Mustang before, but one thing I was impressed with was how heavy the clutch is. The clutch has a good feel. It's much heavier than a lot of other cars. The brake has a very good feel. Now the gas pedal, when you're in normal mode, which is where I drive for most of the time, is a little bit numb. But that can be changed when you do select the modes and you go into sport or track. The gas pedal gets much more responsive, and the car definitely does come to life when you do put it into sport mode. Also, this car has rev match, so if I can just press the clutch in and just throw down the gear, it'll rev match for me. Most of the time I have it on. I do know how to drive without it. I do have another manual car that does not have rev match, but I find it just easy and simple to use. Mostly all the time I drive this car, I have rev match on just because it saves my clutch life. When you do throw into sport or a track, the steering does get heavier. In normal mode, the steering is much heavier than any normal car I'd ever been in. That was another thing I realized right away. The car has a very good feel to it, and then you throw into sport and then it gets even heavier. And then you can also change the steering modes individually. So you have the mode select here, but you can also select the steering feel. Then you can go into sport, comfort, normal. But that being said, this car still does have 460 horsepower in it, and when you want it to be very tame, it can be, but you throw down a couple gears, it gets loud. And it gets going pretty fast. Definitely gets the adrenaline running, and it's no slouch. Now I'd like to take a quick second to talk about the aftermarket of this car and also the looks. So my car did not look like this in the factory, and I've done quite a few things to it. This car has a huge aftermarket support. There are a ton of parts you can go and buy for an S550 Mustang. And there might be a lot of Mustangs out there, but you can make your car look like its own car. There's so many different wheel options, there's so many different bumper options, wing options. There's so many things you can do to this car. The possibilities are almost endless. I believe the stat is almost 40% of Mustang owners do at least one type of modification to their car, which is pretty insane. So if you guys are looking for a car that has some serious aftermarket modification, that is another plus that the Mustang offers. There are a lot of things that you can do to this car from the factory, change it up, and it also is pretty tunable. Like I said before, there are definitely ways you can make this car go faster if you wanted to. If you had a decent amount of money set aside, you can make upwards towards 750 wheel, 850 wheel if you do boost this car. Now let's take a quick second to talk about the issues of this car, the problems I've had. One of the problems was my transmission was making a weird noise when I would shift from third to fourth. The revs wouldn't drop fast enough, and simply those just went away after a couple weeks. My weird grinding noise went away. For the most part, I don't really see the rev hang anymore. I used to see it, but it kind of just went away, and I hope it doesn't come back. I'll keep you guys updated if it comes back. I want to do a transmission oil change in the car because I feel like that's one of the things that should be done around 10,000, 15,000 miles. The first 10 to 15,000 miles in a manual transmission, and this car we're going to do that. It's about $200 I think from Ford. So we're going to do that transmission oil change and keep the car running like it is right now. The second thing that broke was right here. You can see my mirror is taped up. If we come to the other side, this car has floodlights, puddle lights, whatever you may want to call it. It projects the Mustang emblem down onto the ground, and this is just hanging. This whole LED projector part right here is just hanging. Hopefully they fix it under warranty. I'll keep you guys updated on what that is whenever I go in for my next oil changes, when that is going to be addressed as well. And those are basically all the problems I've really had with it. I had the aftermarket exhaust installed and it was rubbing on the sway bar, but that's not a problem of the car, that's the problem of how it was installed. I mean, it was installed a little too close to the sway bar and it caused rubbing. So yeah. And then as far as the looks goes, I think this car looks really good even from factory, out of the box. It's a very good looking car, and you can always just make it look better with all the aftermarket stuff you want to do to it, or even leave it stock and it's still a pretty good looking car. Definitely catches a lot of attention, especially with these stripes on it, I can tell you that for sure. But that's basically my experience with this car. A year, it's been super comfortable to ride in, it's been super easy to use, I haven't had any major issues, it has a ton of power, and it definitely is a sports car you can drive every day as long as you don't need to haul people. For the money, this car is crazy. You can go buy like a Honda Civic Si, like a newer one, or a used Mustang GT. You might not find a premium for that price, but you can definitely still find a 5.0 for that price, which is crazy to see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been a year with this car. I bought this car in January, so about 11 months right now, upward towards a year. I thought before it snow I'd make this video so you guys won't just hear me sitting in my garage and talking about the car, and we can actually go out and drive it. If you did like this video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, throw a comment on what you guys think about the Mustang, what you guys think about the S550, if you guys do own one, if you guys are thinking about buying one. I definitely highly suggest you do. Whether I regret buying the car or not, 100% I don't. I'm very happy I bought this car, and I'm very happy that I have this car, and I'm very happy I didn't get rid of it when I had the opportunity to, and hopefully I can keep this car for a very long time. That's my plan with it. I want to keep it basically as long as I can. If you did enjoy this video, subscribe, but other than that, that's all I have, and I will see you guys in the next video.